All right, what's going on, my guy? So a while back, someone booked a one-on-one meeting with me, and they wanted to ask pretty much, how do you become a software engineer? And when I asked them, like, okay, like, what's your plan and everything, he gave me like the stupidest answers ever for, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And I was looking at this kid and just cringing so hard. And what sucks is like I had that same like game plan when I was younger. So do many other kids. So here's like the no BS guide of how to actually become a software engineer. Just like you watch this video, you don't really love software engineering or programming. You're kind of like, yeah, it's fun, building code sometimes, and learning something new is cool every now and then. A few times you like laser focusing on like writing some code and making it work, but you don't really love it. You're not one of those people who's like, oh, I'm going to hackathon at Berkeley this weekend. Are you going to hackathon at Stanford next weekend? Did you see that Java 17.4 got released? Did you see that I took a class over the summer about the AI, and I'm taking extra classes in college about learning about this and that, and it's like, bro, like, I like it, but it's not my life. I just want to get this high-paying job with all these benefits and easy work and all that stuff. And when I go on YouTube and I see people like in like these blogs too, like, oh, how do you become a software engineer? Like, what is this garbage advice they're giving you? Like, plan your career path and obtain an education and get certified. What? Okay, this is like, sure, like maybe like some of those ways will work, but at the end of the day, the goal is here. You want to take the fastest path to get there. You don't want to go to the Donner Party and take this way out route up here to maybe come back here. We want to get there fast. So here's the no BS guide. So to get the job, if you just look up like on LinkedIn, like software engineer, new grad jobs, you'll see that the majority of them have kind of the same few skill sets. They'll tell you, oh, know some cloud-based stuff, maybe Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker, know this stuff. There's usually like 4 to 7 things that like just about every single job application has. And you look at those things and you're like, oh, I went to college, I'm sure I'll learn all these things, and there's literally nothing. Like not one single thing on those skills that you learned in college. So the thing is, you have to learn those skills and get them on your resume to get the job. I know it sounds really obvious, but this is what's crazy. Most people don't have those skills. They go through all of college, they don't even have those skills. The best way to get those skills is to get a software engineering internship. And this sounds kind of obvious right now because, you need experience, get the job and experience. It's like that cycle everyone keeps telling you about, which is kind of annoying when you don't have either of those things the first time in, which is like really frustrating. What the mistake a lot of people do is they're like, okay, well, I see I need to learn these skills, so let me just learn them, right? And they just sit on their computer and they're like, oh, let me go to the Kubernetes website and, what is Kubernetes? And they're like, oh, well, you can do some stuff with, containerized open source application, all this stuff. And, oh, this kind of, oh, that's cool. It kind of makes sense, but you don't know it. If someone asks you any questions about it, you would have absolutely no clue, like, what to say. Because to really know something and understand it, you have to like go through the trials and tribulations of building something with it. It breaks, building something, it breaks. You need help from someone. It breaks, you don't get it. And then, oh, you get now it makes sense. And you need to actually work with it and play with it. And it's hard to do that on your own. You have someone help you out. Because when you get stuck and you're frustrated, like it'll seem like the hardest thing ever. And it's so hard to fix those errors without having someone there to help you. So the software engineering internship, you actually like learn those skills and play with something and have people literally just hold your hand because you really don't know anything to actually get the skills and stuff and really understand it for the software engineering job. So I hope that's making sense so far, but to get the job, you get the internship because the internship will teach you all the skills in the job, right? This is like obvious stuff. This makes sense. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, all these kids are in college. Like, oh, to get the software engineering job, let me make sure I get an A plus in statistics. Let me make sure I get an A plus in physics. It's like, bro, focus on the meat of it. Like, okay. So you're at high school, you're in college. The goal is to get as many software engineering internships as you need to get the job. The end goal is the job, okay? Just stop letting that slip out of your mind. So when you're in class, you're like, oh, should I learn, like, should I really focus on getting the A plus in why? What does statistics matter? What is these in the intro to algorithms? What does this matter? The goal is to get the job. And to get the job, you need those skills. And none of these algorithms and physics and statistics and gender studies classes you take relate to the job. So focus on the end goal of getting the job. So you need an internship to get the job. How do you get the internship? If you ever applied for software engineering internships in college, they are ultra competitive. You think that, oh well, I worked at Pizza Hut and I learned teamwork back in high school, and maybe I worked for somebody and I took this piece of paper and I just wrote down whatever's on the paper on the computer, and that counts for something, right? And you actually apply like 300 applications for these software engineering internships, and nobody gets back to you, and you're like, bro, what am I doing wrong? Getting that internship is hard. That is your foot through the door, and it's very hard to break. The easiest way to do it, which you should be focusing on, is to know somebody in the company who can get you the internship. Literally, when you go to these internships, you actually like ask around. Most people there, they know someone in the company. It's how they get the internship. You can say, "Oh, that's unfair. We should," whatever dumb things people say these days, but that's just how the way the world works. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And believe me, some of these kids in these internships are so utterly stupid. They're so stupid, but somehow they got their way in. That was just like me because I didn't know anything. I was one of the stupid kids. So basically the internship group, the kids that are in there are gonna be these ultra smart kids who like worked with this insane resume with all these skills, and they knew all these things. They were so into software engineering and computer. Lychee, stop. I'm just gonna take my mic off. And then they're mostly just filled with these dumbass kids who just knew someone in the company. So that's you. You need to know someone in the company. Be like, oh, but I don't know anyone, otherwise I wouldn't be watching this video. Yes, you do. So here's the thing. When I was looking for my first internship, what I did, and it took me a long time to make this mistake right after failing at internships for 2 years, was I made a list of everybody I knew who was kind of like somewhat related to tech, even if they're just an accountant or in a pharmacy, just something like that. I made a list of all of them. It was like maybe like 35 people. And one by one, I called them all. I'm like, hey, Assalamu alaikum. That's, I'm Muslim. That's what we say people. You talk to them for a little bit, like, oh, your kid. Wow, he's in fourth. Wow, isn't that so... My family is going to be so mad at me, but you should talk to them for a little bit. And you say, okay, by the way, I'm in college for an internship. Is there any way that you could put me in touch with someone in your company? You help me out. You say something like that. And they'll say like, okay, let me see what I can do. Instead, I can just send me an email with your resume and this and that. You send it to them. And you go through the entire list. And maybe one or two people on that list, they can say, oh, my company has some openings. Just tell me whatever positions you want and send me this. They'll try to help you out, okay? Maybe they won't. But then the same way when you're literally at home and your dad invites his friends over to go watch, like, I don't know what dads do. I don't have a dad growing up. Maybe they're watching baseball or something. They're watching baseball or something. You just go up and you introduce yourself. Hey, how's it going? Whatever people do who have dads. You introduce yourself to your dad's friends, and you say, by the way, I'm looking for an internship, so I want to, expand my career. Can you help put me in touch with somebody? And you build your social circle like that. And you'd be surprised how just if you branch off one person to one person, how wide your circle actually is. So my first internship was at AMD. It's this like big semiconductor company, do a lot of cool stuff. And I basically got that because when I went to Islamic school, I TA'd for one of the teachers, and through like a little, I don't want to get too much into the details, she put me in touch with somebody who was very high in the ladder at AMD. He got me the internship. And when I tell you he got me the internship, he basically just handed it to me. In the sense, he literally just took my resume, he just gave it to somebody like, hey, can you just take this kid? And the manager's like, okay, cool, I'll take him. And basically they had some interview where they asked me the most basic questions ever, like, what does git push do? And I'm saying, they're like, oh, well, it pulls, because I'm an idiot. And they still gave me the internship. They will hand it to you. Now, that might not happen exactly for you. You might not know somebody at, a great tech company. You might not know, getting like the best, actually, a software engineering internship position, but you want to get to the closest you can get to. Okay, so that might be that, hey, my uncle-in-law works for a pharmaceutical company. He needs someone in the IT department to literally just take a piece of paper and put it in the computer. That's the closest thing you got. Go for it. Say that it's in the middle of school. Like dude, you have to do it during, spring quarter or this semester. Take it. College is useless, all right? Take the experience. So you do that experience thing, okay? Now you have something on your resume. It's like, oh, you could you BS. You didn't actually, you said, oh, I did this fancy thing, but really you didn't do anything. On your resume, okay, now you have some experience on your resume, okay? Then the next time you go around and you reach out to the same people, some more people, and you say, okay, well, actually now, can you be in touch? I actually have this experience on my resume. Now their manager or someone they know, they might be more inclined to take you in, and then you get the next internship. What I did was on my resume before I interned at AMD, I worked for some pharmaceutical company from one of my uncles, and I just drew pictures. I drew pictures of, oh, this is what the website should look like. And what did I put that on my resume? HTML expert, pro website front end web. I put all this stuff to just expand what the job actually was. And then AMD saw like, oh, you have some experience, you do some of this, and obviously you fill it up with some random BS that you do in college, and now you actually got a shot. So just to kind of re-clarify, this is like the main point, is you want to expand your circle. If you literally don't know anyone, start going to events and just introducing yourself to people. And I don't know if there's like software, there's events near you. Don't like immediately just talk to them like, oh, I'm looking for a job. Just get to know them a little bit, shoot the shit for whatever bit, and like, hey, I'm looking for any positions, or can you recommend, what should I do? Whatever, to get your foot in the door to the internship. Once you get the internship, the job is easy. They'll literally just make a position for you if they want you. Okay? Same with the internship. If you know someone high up in the company, they'll just make a position for you. So that's that. Now, a lot of people like obsess so much about like, oh, the leak code and the algorithms and the merge sort and the quick sort. Like, that's fair. Like, if the internship has like requirements for it, you should kind of go over and understand them. But if it's just an internship and you got it like through the company, like through the actual engineering, not through the HR side, they won't really go that hard on you. As long as you're like putting some effort in and you kind of know some basic stuff, they'll probably take you in. The mistakes so many kids make is they finish up their college education and they're like, look at me, I'm graduated senior year, I got my bachelor's degree. They put it on their resume and they say, well, I learned some of these random programming. I learned Perl in this class, and I learned what did you even learn back in college? Like computer architecture and all this stuff, and nobody takes them because they don't know any of those skills that are on the software engineering job. So that's literally it. Like, stop overcomplicating this boot camp and this college. The whole point to get the job is to meet the requirements on that job, know those skills. You really actually genuinely learn those skills through the software engineering internship. To get the internship is to know somebody in the company. So it's literally, the whole thing is literally just networking. This might sound pretty like intimidating now because you have to network and talk to people and you're pretty lazy and you don't really know how to talk to anyone, you kind of have social anxiety. But you gotta push yourself outside the bubble to literally just talk and expand your knowledge to people. A lot of people, like, they want to help you. Just reach out, make an effort to literally talk to people. Even if it's your friend's dad who you know works at some company, just pick up your balls and go talk to him and say, hey, I'm in this position. People want to help you, okay? It's all about the networking and who you know, not what you know, to get the software engineering internship. Once you get the internship, you learn the skills and you're good to go from there. I'll give you a little bit of motivation. I'm pretty honest about, I'm transparent about, how much money I make, just because I'm one of these YouTubers who's like, you can make good money as a, I'll be honest with you and straightforward. My internship at AMD paid $26 an hour. Oh, and that's just the other thing I want to mention. If you do the internship for 3 months and summer ends, like, great, now I get to go back to college and learn nothing. They just ask them, can you expand this internship another 3 months? Like, people are very flexible with these things. Be like, okay, you can't pay me, fine, I'll do it for free or whatever. I mean, they likely will pay you if it's like a notable company. Free internships are kind of sketchy, but I mean, if you don't have anything, it's better than nothing. They'll say, okay, I expanded to fall semester. But how am I going to do my classwork in my Relax, bro. Screw the classwork, forget about that. You could literally get the job without even needing a college degree, but get the experience. So I was at AMD, did some decent stuff there, nothing really too crazy, and it kind of ended. I just asked, like, hey, can you expand another 3 months? Can you expand another 4 months? And sure they did. So now I had 6 months of experience, popped it on my resume. But the point I was trying to make before is about when I was interning at AMD, I made like $25 an hour, $26 an hour. When I interned at LiveRamp, my current company, I was making $35 an hour because they let us be like remote anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. Had it been like before the pandemic in person, it would have been $55 an hour. And then my deal when I signed on to LiveRamp as a new grad, because I'd finished the internship and I was like, oh, I'm graduating. And I was able to do something. And this is the kind of thing you kind of think in the internship is you want to get the job as well, is you want to, I'm going to put this on my uncut channel. I don't know if I can go farther than another minute. You want to do something useful for the company. You learn the skills and build something useful for the company. Be useful to them, okay? Don't just learn to learn and build something that gets thrown in the garbage. It should be useful to the company. But yeah, so then LiveRamp, I was making like $35 an hour when I got the when I signed on, like right after the internship, to actually help the company a lot out in a couple aspects. It was like $120 base salary, $120 in stock over 4 years, $30,000 a year in stock. And then it was a $20,000 sign-on bonus. I gotta end the video now because I'm at like the 15-minute mark for YouTube videos. It's coming up in 10 seconds, but Hope you took something away from this. For the millionth time, get the engineering internship by knowing someone in the company, and I'll see you in the next one.